listening to Lady-ish, where wellness gets unfiltered. This is the podcast where real talk meets whole self-transformation. I am your host, Autumn Noble O'Hanlon. I'm a coach, healer, author, and wellness guide, and I have created this unfiltered space for women who want more out of life, but on their own terms. Every week, we will dive into the messy, beautiful, and often contradictory layers of wellness, covering everything from career shifts and body image to energy healing, intuitive living, fitness, burnout recovery, and creating change that actually sticks. Whether you're chasing a new chapter, healing old wounds, or just trying to reconnect with yourself in a loud, overwhelming world, Lady-ish is here to support your evolution. You can expect honest conversations, coaching wisdom, holistic tools, spiritual insights, and permission to be a little bit of everything and nothing that you're not. Because wellness isn't one size fits all, and neither are you. Welcome, my friends, to episode 1 of Lady-ish, where wellness gets unfiltered. Today's episode is a personal one. I thought it most fitting to start off this new podcast giving a little bit of my own personal story about my experiences with abusive relationships, toxic workplaces, and the journey that ultimately brought me here. For so many years, I thought that success meant pushing harder, proving myself, and staying in environments that didn't value me. But what actually saved me, what gave me clarity and strength, were the practices of meditation, yoga, Reiki healing, tarot, and fitness. These tools not only help me survive, but they help me rebuild a life that reflects who I truly am and helped me to live with more authenticity. They opened the door for me to leave the practice of law and create Lady-ish, a life collective, a space where women and professionals can heal, move, and grow into their own version of success. Today, I'll share how Reiki first changed my life, how a long-lost dream of becoming a dance instructor eventually came full circle through fitness and movement, and how these practices have really shaped the woman and the coach that I am today. My hope is that in my story, you'll find pieces of your own and maybe even the courage to navigate your journey with more compassion, strength, and trust. Many, many years ago, I found myself in a relationship that I felt was abusive on many different levels. At the same time, I was working in a toxic law firm environment. And I remember sitting in my humongous house that I didn't need with a garage full of cars that I did not need and couldn't all drive at the same time. And I remember looking around and just feeling so empty and so heavy and so hopeless. I had a beautiful home, and on paper, everything looked right. I was at a good firm. I made a lot of money. It was prestigious. I was respected. People were proud of me. And I remember feeling, but behind closed doors, I am not okay. And I'm not happy. And I'm actually really scared of the possibility that maybe I made some pretty colossal mistakes that I need to unwind in some way or shape. Fortunately for me, my firm offered yoga over the lunch hour. And for many, many years, I had been a dancer. And originally, I had wanted to go to college and become a dance instructor. I really looked up to my dance teachers. I really loved dance and movement as a form of self-expression and a form of empowerment for women. And when push came to shove, I decided that going to law school was the more lucrative and the more grown-up approach to my future. But when the opportunity came to start practicing yoga, I saw it as an easy way to kind of get back to that connection with mind and body and find another form of physical release. So I started going to this yoga class over the noon hours. And as many of you can imagine, I felt that real discomfort of leaving my desk for an hour over the lunch hour and going to this yoga class, and that tremendous dis-ease that comes from worrying about other people's judgments or what they're going to think of you, or are people going to need me while I'm gone? Are they going to be mad at me that I stepped away or that I'm doing this selfish thing? But I did it. And I truly believe that attending this yoga class was sort of the beginning of the change in my life that I'm living now. The instructor of that yoga class was also a Reiki master, an intuitive healer, and kind of a spiritual guide for me. And I have really maintained that relationship over the years. But it was this first initial encounter with her that I realized that there was something about her that was unique and that I wanted to understand at a different level. She took us through a really simple yoga flow. And at the end of the session, she came around with lavender and gently touched our third eye chakras, right in the center of our forehead. And she put her hand over you, and you can kind of smell the lavender, and she would just gently touch you right in that third eye in the middle of your forehead. And I just remember feeling something electric and some kind of an energy from her that I couldn't really put my finger on. She had this very soothing way of leading yoga classes and just kind of this power and presence in who she was. But there was something so electric in that physical connection in that moment, and her touching my third eye. And sort of looking back now, I think, she was opening something in me that I didn't really understand at the time. I go back to work, I kind of go back to my life and go through the motions, and I'm just feeling really heavy and really disappointed. I kind of climbed this mountain, and here I was at the top, and just nothing felt like I thought it would. So I reach out to this woman, and I schedule a Reiki healing session and a tarot session with her. And I begin to talk to her about how I'm feeling about my work, but also my relationship. And as we're chatting, she pulls a tarot card. And the card that she pulled at the time was the 10 of Swords. And if you've seen tarot cards, or you're familiar with the 10 of Swords, it's actually an individual lying face down on the ground with 10 swords sticking out of their back. And it's a sign that something is coming to an end. A relationship, a job. And at the time I was speaking to her about my relationship, and it really kind of had this moment of deep inner knowing that what I was feeling, what I was experiencing, it wasn't normal and it wasn't right. And seeing that card allowed me to really access that intuition and kind of check in with myself and just really feel that gut knowing that I needed to leave and I needed to move on. And truly, that's the point of tarot cards, is to allow us to access our own inner knowing, to see what the images on the card bring up for us, and allow us to sort of open our eyes and listen and see in a way that maybe we've been ignoring. And I'll never forget that moment. And every time I see that card, I remember that moment that it just clicked for me. And I just knew I needed to change. What I was feeling and what I was thinking was real and right. And I needed to trust that and move with that. So from there, the relationship disintegrated, ended, moved on, and changed jobs, got out of that environment. And over the years, I started to really maintain my relationship with this woman who over time has sort of become my spiritual guru, I guess you would say. And as the years went by and I moved past that relationship, I started feeling this sort of deep pain in my right hip. And for those of you that are exploring the space, our right side is our more masculine side. And for those of you that maybe explore yoga, you know that in our hips is often where we store trauma and pain and guilt, and all of those deep, yucky kind of feelings are often stored in our hip area. And so I go and I meet with this woman again, and I'm telling her, I've just been really struggling with this lower back pain. And she basically explains to me that I have some type of a connection to this person that I had left. And there's some sort of a dark energy there and kind of a toxic relationship that's sort of lingering and following me through life. And she did a Reiki session on me and invited me to sort of let go of that energetic cord and connection to that person that is attached to that right, traumatic side, masculine side of my body. And it was the most amazing thing. I remember leaving that session and feeling like I literally had a spring in my step. Like the pain was gone. And truly, that was the only thing that allowed that pain to release. It was more than a physical pain. It was an energetic kind of backlog in that area. And through Reiki healing and meditation, I was able to kind of open that up. And listen, I know that this sounds crazy. But I'm telling you this because over the years, what I have found that it wasn't just my coach that I needed. And at the time I'd had a coach that was a woman and a lawyer, and she was helping me kind of rebuild my career and move out of that toxic space and kind of create something new. But it was more than her support that I needed to really find my path and figure out what it was that I wanted to do with my life. It was the support of this woman and the guidance through Reiki and meditation and tarot readings and yoga that allowed me to sort of see it is a holistic approach to healing and wellness. And that's truly what we need as women, to find that center, to regroup and connect with that intuition that knows what we need to be doing. So from that space, it's sort of driven everything I've decided to do with my life from there. I knew that I wanted to give back to my community in a way to help other women find these tools and to find healing and to move forward and transform their life in the same way that I had experienced. So I started off creating the Lawyer Life Collective and the Lawyer Life podcast because I wanted to focus on the legal community and women, because that's where my heart was. And I knew that even if they had a healthy romantic relationship, odds were pretty good that there might be some challenging relationships in their work environments. And so I wanted to teach them the tools that I used to overcome those relationships and move on. But over time, what I was finding was that coaching for people's lives and careers was only taking us so far. And I wanted to be able to bridge that gap in the same way that sort of my team of support bridged the gap for me. So I started introducing guided meditations into the Lawyer Life podcast and offering those to my clients. And I have found that there's a real demand for that. But not even that. The women that I have been able to connect with and coach consistently told me, you need to offer this outside of the legal community. I have a friend, a mom, a sister, a cousin. I know women that need this support. It's not just for the legal community. And after years of hearing this again and again and again, I decided to pivot and create Ladyish, which is a life collective built upon 4 core pillars. And those pillars are move, heal, transform, and intuit. And in this life collective, I focus not just on life and career coaching, but I also offer Reiki healing, intuitive insights, personal training and physical fitness and yoga classes, either virtually or in person. I want to be able to meet you where you are and support your needs in this particular moment. In doing that, I decided to create a companion podcast. And that's what you're listening to today. In this podcast, I'm not only going to work through the core coaching tools that I have taught hundreds of women all over the world for years, but I'm going to go beyond that and talk about healing through burnout, yoga practices that you can employ to decrease stress or sleep better. I'm going to offer guided meditations and intuitive resources and tools to help you find that inner voice, listen to her, and see where she takes you. It's these types of tools that have really, I think, allowed my path to really come full circle. I started off wanting to become a dance teacher and went to law school instead. And here I am, somewhere in my 40s, getting my personal training certificate, becoming a certified yoga instructor, getting certified to teach dance fitness classes. It's all because I allowed the journey to take me where I needed to go, to learn the things that I needed to learn, and was able to find space to still attend to that dream. So no matter where you are in your career, I really want you to hear the message that you never make a choice that is forever. Maybe you had another dream that you put on the back burner and you decided to pursue something more grown up or more lucrative or whatever it may be. I want you to hear that those dreams are still possible, and that part of you that was wanting something more and something a little bit different, she's still in there. And this is a space for you to listen to her and see where she's encouraging you to go, and see if there are adjustments that you can make in your current life to allow you to live more fully and more in alignment with the person that you truly want to be, to break free of those social norms and all those rules that everyone's telling us about how we're supposed to be, and engage in the true and authentic you that's wanting something different, that's wanting something more. Those are the tools that I'm going to be teaching you here on this podcast, and that I'm going to be offering in Ladyish, the Life Collective. If you have any questions about the services offered through Ladyish, be sure to check out the links in the show notes. But I am so excited to have you here to offer these tools, to take my work in coaching a little bit farther and provide access to those other pillars of wellness that can truly transform our lives. And I am so glad that you are here with me on this journey. I look forward to supporting each and every one of you on your own journey of authenticity. As a preview of where we're going to be going over the next upcoming episodes, we're going to be focusing on starting with a consciousness about where we're living. So focusing on consciousness for the high-achieving woman. We're not only going to talk about conflict and clarity in relationships, but we're going to talk about how to know when to let something go or when to hold on to it. I'm also going to talk about dealing with difficult people and difficult relationships and how to do it with mindfulness and kindness. And then after that, we're going to be pivoting to talk a little bit about imposter syndrome, something I see in so many successful women all over the world. And I'm going to offer you some very simple mindfulness tricks to dismantle that imposter syndrome and show up confidently and authentically. I can't wait to see you there.